Hello, everybody. I hope you are all having a fantastic day. And today is the grand opening and first episode of Sports Point Podcast. Today, me as the host, Johnny, alongside with Avery and Nolan, we will be covering all of Point Park sports as a whole, and we are thankful to have a special guest from the men's wrestling team today. Said before, we are thankful to have a men's wrestler on our podcast today. Go on and introduce yourself.
My name's Preston Chandler. I'm a freshman here at Point Park, and I wrestle for 133-pound weight class.
So, Preston, for anybody that doesn't know, Point Park is a first-year program. It's new to this. It's new to the university. What what is one goal you would say, since it's a new program, that you're striving to get to make this sport stand out for the university?
I would say a goal would obviously be to have placers at the national tournament, whether that's this year or the next coming years. But I think our main focus is to get our recruitment numbers up for the next few years. And I think once we do that, that'll bring a lot more success.
As of right now, the Point Park men's wrestling team only has 9 wrestlers on the program's roster. How since it's only 9 members on that team, how is the connection as a whole? Are y'all tired, or are y'all like a distance?
I think the only having 9 of us definitely we're a lot tight knit, a lot of tighter knit group. Like it's more like a family, and it's definitely different than other teams, but it's really good.
And as a whole, there is no upperclassman. There is, what would you say, one sophomore, and how is that like? How is that like? How is that having only just a sophomore being the oldest?
It's different, but it's good. Um, a few different kids have stepped up and kind of taken leader positions, which is good, but at the same time, everyone's learning and kind of we're all going through it together. So,
Yeah. And
Yeah,
as of now, the men's wrestling team has wrestled in 2 meets so far. One in the Mount Union Invitational, and then up in Cleveland as well. How have those been for the team?
they were good. It's definitely a good experience. There was a lot of Division 2 and 3 schools. I think maybe a D1 school at those. And we've had placers at both of them, so I think it was definitely a good showing for our first 2 tournaments.
all right. I gotta ask, honestly. My brother's a wrestler, and I really don't know how he does it. I love food personally. I don't know about anyone else. But how do you manage to cut and stay at a certain weight? I mean, I've always like struggled to understand it, just cause like I have that desire for food. Like, how do you cut that? Like, is it mental? Like, where? Explain
Yeah,
that.
it's definitely a mental challenge. Like you've got to stay pretty disciplined, and I mean, there's some things like if you want a cheat meal here and there, you're gonna have to get an extra workout in that day, or maybe wear an extra layer at practice. But it's not too bad once you get used to it.
I don't know how you do it. I mean, Nolan, you got anything to add on that?
Yeah, I was just curious. I know Avery mentioned how it's a first year program. I think men's and women's wrestling. Um, would you say there's any struggles that come with that? Like, how is it in competition? Like, do you guys feel like you match up fine against, people that may be older than you, or how do you feel like that works?
I would say, I mean, we're at a slight disadvantage. Like, some of these other teams that have, you know, 2, 3 to 4 kids at every weight class, and like those kids, if the A wrestler's not feeling great that day, like they've got a B wrestler that's right there to fill in for them, and they have a lot more diversity for practice partners, and but I mean, we work with what we have, and I think we're everyone goes hard, and we have good matchups in the room, so it's definitely not too bad.
Awesome.
Now, Preston, as a wrestler, for you, what's your biggest hobby outside of wrestling? Like, what do you like to do outside of wrestling?
Um, I like to go to the gym and lift, which that's a part of wrestling, but outside that, my favorite hobby is probably golfing.
I mean, to add off of that, we always like to ask, going into this, a question that is a little off topic, like Avery had there. And to be honest, I've heard a lot of things about the food here at Point Park, good and bad. But coming from a wrestler who has slim options as is, because you're cutting a lot, what's the go to? I mean, what can you always trust here that you enjoy?
For me, I would say I use the salad bar a lot just because it's pretty consistent and you can get some
Yeah,
healthy food there. Or definitely like the Point Cafe where they have the pre-made like wraps and pre-made fruit packages and stuff.
I meant to
that's a good
ask too,
answer. Good answer.
what's your walking around weight? Like I know you wrestle at 133, but like what do you walk around at like on a day to day before the meet?
Um, I mean, going in to the week of a meet, I'm normally walking around at like 140. So,
7 pound cut, I
Not too
guess.
bad. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, as we said before, the men's wrestling team is looking very good going into these tournaments that, as a first year team, that's phenomenal. Seeing people placing, seeing success early on, that's always a great sign. And honestly, we really wish you the best of luck, and we are so thankful for you coming on here for our first ever episode that will always be remembered. So thank you again, Preston, for everything.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was fun.
Anybody in the Pittsburgh area can join Bible study. Bible study is held by Caleb Adams and Josh Eisenberg on Mondays and Fridays in the second floor of Lawrence Hall in the Harry Potter room. This past Monday, the group of Bible study read through Acts 2 and Acts 1. Like said before, on Mondays and Fridays, they begin at 7 p.m. Anybody is welcomed.
Make sure to go check that out. And honestly, guys, fall's coming to an end. We saw some flurries in Pittsburgh, which is a little crazy. I haven't seen that in a long time. Winter's sliding right in and moving slowly. And I think it's only right for us to cover the success we've had this fall.
Yeah, I think both of our men's and women's soccer teams season, kind of came to an end there in the quarterfinals of playoffs there. Both losing 3-0. The men's team losing to West Liberty and the women's team losing to Concord. So both disappointing ends, I think. But on the bright side, we did have two players make the first team of the Mountain East Conference. Rebecca Pilger and Fridolin. I'm not even going to try and say the last name, but Rebecca Pilger also being freshman of the year in the MEC.
Yeah, I just feel like, as a whole, in MEC, as this is our second year transitioning, I feel like the Pioneers are actually making a strong push. I feel like they're not, like a normal team that struggles in the first couple of years in the transition. I feel like they have become and earned their spot in the MEC.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sorry for cutting you off there, but
No, you're good.
I'm psyched. I'm psyched because that is such a big thing. Point Park got moved up pretty recently, and not only that, we mentioned a lot of first team, but I saw a lot of second team as well. I'm not going to go deep into the details, but just overall success as a whole, as a program. These are really competitive teams, and like being bumped into the division, we saw success with baseball, which now we're kicking into the winter and lifting. And honestly, the team's looking phenomenal as a whole. I'm really psyched for the spring for that. And I got to ask about lacrosse, man. I mean, You're on the
Yeah,
team.
no,
How's that going?
I think our team looks good. We got a bunch of really good guys from a bunch of different places, couple internationals, which is really cool. Yeah, but I think we'll be good, man. It'll be exciting. Again, first year program, so let's see what we can do. In the spring.
Yeah,
For
the
sure.
men's lacrosse team did have a couple of scrimmages. Those scrimmages resulting against Duquesne and Pittsburgh, if I stood correctly, and
Yeah,
the men did beat both of them.
yeah,
I just feel like as a whole for the lacrosse team, Nolan, I just feel like y'all are doing so much better than anybody expected since it was a first year program. Since you're bringing in a lot of guys over 40, if I'm correct.
yeah,
Over
yeah.
40,
40 guys.
having options like that and being able to substitute, unlike as Preston's on the wrestling team, not having those type of guys to be able to do that. I feel like the men's Pioneers will do a great job. Now, when we talk about success, we also have to talk about failure or underperforming. Now, both the men's and women's soccer team, like we did say, lost 3-0 in the quarterfinals of the playoffs. I was there. I would just say the men's team had a lot of opportunities with corner kicks, and it just didn't go their way. It just it was the day that they were caught off guard by a team that was not even supposed to. They were the underdogs, that the team that they were facing, and the Pioneers were predicted to win, unlike the women's team. But I feel like the men's team going into that game, I feel like as a college athlete, sometimes you get head over heels, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, the West Liberty Hilltoppers for the men's went out there and controlled the whole game. They played amazing defense against the Pioneers, and I feel like that's what won them the game, is not allowing a single good opportunity for a goal.
Yeah.
I feel like their defense was the main reason they won that game.
I think that's the beauty about sports too, right? The underdog always has a chance. It's always a cool story to see. Unfortunately, Point Park ended up being on the losing side, but that is the fun thing about sports.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I gotta add, I must add to this, is it's really how you bounce back. I mean, they get a lot of people in from different areas, which is really very common here at Point Park. I do agree with Avery on the sense there was definitely a little miscommunication, and that happens. That happens as a whole. But at the end of the day, they saw success early on, and next year I'm sure they have an idea where they're already going to go about. I'm sure the coaches are already getting on that and jumping on everything there. And I kind of want to go back to something you mentioned, Avery, about Nolan, actually, the lacrosse team. I'm still wrapping my head around, you guys play Pitt and Duquesne? Is that correct?
Yeah.
See, that's, crazy to me, because those are, notable Division I schools, and you have a new team like us showing success early on with that. It's just crazy for me to put in perspective. It's just so, out of the ordinary from my knowledge.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. I mean, everyone being freshmen, there's that, I don't know what you want to call it, but everyone just doubts you because everybody's a freshman.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool to see that we can still thrive and we can still compete with the teams that we're playing against.
And I think a really important thing to go off of that, what you just said, is what we just saw with our soccer team. They're looking down upon the team because maybe they're the possible, this should be a win in their head. But like you said, you're a bunch of freshmen. The immediate thought for a team like Pitt is probably, wow, well, we should beat them. You know what I mean? A lot of people can get cocky, and that can lead into bad situations, which I think is really what we saw.
Yeah, I feel like being, cocky. I feel like the boys' baseball team, having to be those top dogs this year, as they were the 2024-2025 MEC champions, winning against Fairmont State. Sadly, because of the transition, they could not go to the regional tournament, and therefore Fairmont State went to represent in the MEC and they made a good push, and that just as a fan of baseball, it just makes me question like just the what if Point Park had that opportunity to go to the regional tournament and have a push for the World Series. When they won the MEC, they were finally ranked 21st in the nation of all D2. So, there's older guys there, but the people returning like Chris Williams and Trevor Jones, two amazing returners. I mean, Johnny, as a baseball player, what is the goal? What has Coach Torres, been saying throughout?
What are your predictions for the year?
So
Like,
I mean,
how do you?
Going off of what you said first, we have a mindset where we don't get cocky with all of that. It's not that we leave it in the past, but we want to make it further. We've seen success at that point, and that means we can only go up from there. And that's like going back to the soccer team, the same thing. They made it there. It was a winnable game. They fell short. They know they can go from there. And that's something Coach really pushes onto us, not to get cocky from where we were, but to know that we are able to do it, but also push for better things. That's really what comes to mind for me, especially in previous years, like in high school and stuff. I saw the same thing. We saw success. We fell short. And it's just a mindset, I think, for mostly all athletes. Like, I'm sure both of you guys can agree with your own, situations. But, when that stuff happens, even whenever you win something, like a really big game, you know that you can do better. There's always going to be a better team. And there's always someone, the mindset, like people say, someone's always working harder than you, which means you just got to keep going. That's how I think. And how the team thinks as a whole.
Now, for both of those teams, the men's soccer and then baseball, both were very older. The men's soccer team having only a couple sophomores and freshmen touch the field for the varsity squad, and then for baseball, losing the guy behind the plate and losing a lot of the rotation. It's just going looking at the roster. Having that older roster is going to be how are you going to be able to replace that? How are we going to be able to replace the catcher for the baseball team? Who's going to be able to step up next? Who's going to be able to, be that guy for each of those teams in the next season?
That's a great question and a great point. And honestly, I think the older guys have done a really good job for these incoming freshmen and even sophomores of being a really good influence and kind of showing the ropes, because we are a very serious program, and to get those guys' heads in the game early and focus on what the prize is a really big deal, especially here at Point Park. And we had a lot of guys come in, honestly. We have a lot of people on the team currently, and I'm just really excited to see where we go from here. A lot of bright things I could see happening coming up in this spring.
Yeah, I feel like the biggest story for Point Park baseball this year is how many guys they have. I mean, you guys have almost 90 guys, 90 players on this roster, and it's gonna be hard for people like you, Johnny, a true freshman, to be able to make that, make yourself, pop out. But it's just, you have so many guys on the depth chart that someday, some game you're gonna have to throw one out and just be let's give this guy a chance. Let's give this young man a chance and see what he can do. And if he capitalizes, is he going to be the next star for the Pioneers, or is he not?
I mean, that's pretty deep into it. But to be fair, I think of it as anything else. You're going to have to compete in any program as a whole. Any sport here at Point Park is going to be competitive for any spot. So it's not a matter of, oh, I'm a freshman, oh, I'm a sophomore, I'm this, I'm that. To me, that goes right over my head. It's more so who's going to work the hardest, who's going to put in the most effort, and who's going to provide for the team. And the coaches will see that. That's the stuff they look for. They don't look for, well, this kid came from a phenomenal school and this kid had this coming out of high school. It's all a reset button with college in general. I mean, I'm sure both of you guys can agree, but like coaches here, they don't really care about what you were doing prior. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't hear people here saying, dude, I was so good my senior year. You know what I mean? We're all freshmen. We understand that. It's an eye-opener for a lot of guys, but for me personally, I knew it would be like that. So it's kind of like a just reset and be the best you can.
Yeah, I think like all the coaches here have done a really nice job of, not having that, oh, he's a senior, so he's going to play mentality. Like, I think that everybody's comes in on a level playing field, right? I think everybody's given an opportunity at the start to show, their talents and their strengths. And, it doesn't really matter if you're a freshman. You see it on all teams, right? You can look at the women's soccer team, for example. Rebecca Pilgrim winning freshman of the year, starting, playing every game, right? So it's like everybody's given that opportunity. And I think that's something that the coaches have done a really good job of.
Yeah, when the lights are on you, you got to make the most of it. I mean, like, you might not get that chance again, especially in these such incredible competitive programs we have here at this new Division II level. Honestly, it's just like it's a dogfight. It really is.
Yeah, I think we get a good pull of people too, right? I think this is an easy school to recruit to. I think it's different from lots of D2 schools, the location's super cool, right? Downtown, lots of other D2 schools, middle of nowhere, nothing around, right? So I think that we get that recruiting advantage, I think, here.
Which is great.
Go ahead.
No, you can go. I was just adding that.
I feel like as a whole in the MEC, a lot of these colleges / universities are in West Virginia, and from being from West Virginia, being able to go see these universities, none of it really steps out like Point Park does. Being able to be a student, and just being able to casually walk to PNC Park or Acrisure Stadium, and then the Penguins as well. Just being able to go to 3 major league programs, or teams, I should say, not programs, and walking distance and being able to be downtown like we are. There's so many opportunities outside of being just a student or a student athlete here. I feel like that's definitely like the biggest recruiting advantage we have in the MEC.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, going off of that, what you said, I knew whenever I was committing here, a big role was honestly how close everything was, because I was really concerned about distance and, do I have to plan time out, to get here to here. And honestly, Point Park does a phenomenal job at keeping everything intact and close so that, if something were to come up, I'd still have time to get to class. It's little things that I took, but I'm sure other people can agree and saw that. But yeah, for sure.
Now, just to wrap it up, I mean, guys, this is the first episode. I mean, there's at least 2 more episodes to come. What are your guys' mindsets onto that?
I mean, honestly, I'm just so excited for the spring. And, with these episodes coming, we could continue bringing guests on, because I think that's the best way to understand it. I mean, we're all former athletes or athletes here, and having more people in these programs and teams is just another person you could trust for their opinion, instead of taking someone's opinion with a grain of salt. That's where I think we go with it.
Yeah, I think I agree with Johnny. I think, just getting the perspective of a bunch of different people and their experience here, I think that's just super cool and super unique. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to, the next episode.
Yeah, I just feel like, everybody's all about D1, here and there about D2, but being able to, hear the voice of Division II athletes is just very special for people. I would say, especially, people that might be interested in Point Park and, hearing what they have to say about Point Park. And, just being able to, spread the word of how being a pioneer is, and then let alone being able to talk about downtown as well, since there are so many activities.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with everything we've said so far. I'm just so excited for what's coming up, along with also, I'm surprised we didn't mention it, but it just came to my mind. We're introducing women's flag football in the following year, and that's another really big thing we're looking at. So as you can see, we're making huge jumps. We moved up to D2. We're adding new sports. The spring, there's so many things to look for. Honestly, there's so much on our plate to cover for these next coming episodes. And I just want to thank everyone here for tuning in. And Avery, what do we say?
What's the point of sports without sports point? I
That's
thank
right,
you,
baby.
ladies and gentlemen, for watching us, taking time out of your day to watch us Pioneers spread the word. And have a great night.